Tonight, we have a treat. Hawkeye will be breaking down his modifications on his latest build, the Lone Wolf Distributions Freedom Wolf. Coming right up.
All right. So it's been a while since I've had to host all these things. I really appreciate the opportunity to do so. You know, it's a lot of fun. Now, Ram has been out exercising his right to learn so that he can help teach and make our knowledge even that better. But all the same, as usual, we have the suspects you might expect. We've got a good old Weapon XYZ. Come on board. How's it going?
What up?
All right. And then, of course, the man of the hour, we got Hawkeye. He's going to come on here, and, he's got something to tell you about that Freedom Wolf frame. Let's go on. Hey, how's it going?
Guys.
All right. Now,
Weapons, how you doing?
Yeah, we have the Freedom Wolf frame. You wanted to talk to us about some of those things there, and but before we get going, we got Blade Boy SFV, Brian Anarino, Darth Dav, Mr. Beano, Ancient Order. Man, you are all hitting us up. You're right on time. I can't even say as much for myself sometimes. I run a little late. Theater time, Then we have joining us from I think audio here if he comes online. Let's see what's going. Hey, you on the audio there, Ryan? All right. So he couldn't let us go, but he wanted me to go all clicky and do the thing. So
Man, I had to be here.
Hey, Raymond Stewart. Thanks.
I'm
for
hearing
joining
somebody's
us.
feedback. You don't have your headphones on tonight. That's what it is.
Ooh.
I hear your speakers.
You know what? Let me put myself on mute 1 second. In fact, Hawkeye, do you want to speak to the people for 1 second?
Well, hey guys, how you doing? You got any questions on how to do anything? How many of you out there watched that video I put up on resources for modifications by Mill Books? This one is a real good one. It's straight to the point on all the mods that he does on Glocks. Talks about the trigger mostly, trigger guard. It's very informative. It helps explain why you do what you do to the trigger bars. I mean, the trigger guards on the frames. But
I definitely I need to catch that. I just haven't gotten back to it. Everything's been going on, but I definitely appreciate you putting the information out there for us because
did you see the one where he reads targets? That would have really helped you on your shooting.
I need to look at that because I got to go shoot again this weekend when I go back out there for the NRA portion. Well, so I do have to shoot 200 more rounds.
Oh, that's a shame. Shoot 200 more rounds. Darn.
Hey, look, this one's going to be a little tougher. I got to shoot a 6-inch group from 45 feet away, 15 yards, a 6-inch group. Really, I only have to hit 20 of them, really, but they're going to have us shooting 200 rounds.
You can do it.
I have to shoot two different ones. I have to shoot I have to go through the first course, which is the student's course, and that's the one I have to shoot the most in. But for the instructor's course, I got to shoot that 6-inch group. But
I imagine you can do it. You'll be fine.
I got a nice green dot. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, well, having the dot, you just put the dot on the spot and take your shot. You'll do just fine. It's all good.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So
anyway, who else?
Hang on a minute. I think I know where that's coming from.
Yeah, there's a bit of a hum going on.
The hum.
Okay. All right.
So weapon. If you're getting a hum, y'all, that is my fridge. I think it is currently dying. So I got to contact our maintenance guy here in our apartment building to have him come and replace it. It's been sounding sick like that a couple of times a day.
60 hertz hum. Gotta love it.
Super fun. Every once in a while, if I walk over and give it a good smack on the side, it'll stop doing it.
In IT, we call that a technical tap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's been driving me and the wife fucking nuts.
Understandably so. It's just above a brown note, but not by much. So, yeah. So yeah, the NRA instructor course definitely sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Good challenge for you, Ram. Keep
I
up
heard
that.
I heard the classroom portion is really boring, so I
Yeah.
got to make sure to get a good night's sleep. So I'll be going up a day early.
Hey, M Adams 117 joined us for a while. How's it going? Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ram.
No, nothing. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do what you're gonna do. I'm going in the shadow for a minute.
Fair enough.
I'll be right back.
All right. So, Hawkeye, if you wanted to, I believe you had said you wanted to use some of the pictures from your forum post because, well, I mean, hey, you have all that up there already. Yeah. And just for a reminder for folks down here, we've got the link. It's FTQ80.info, which is first time quality 80%. We don't usually say it all that much, but that is what it stands for. So, you can go on there, hit up the forum. Hawkeye's a prolific poster and has shared a lot, and I mean a lot of information with us. He's been our go-to write-up guy. So here.
Oh yeah, we really got a hum now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That just got worse, dude. What'd you do?
I'm gonna go pop on my other headphones here in a minute, which should drown that out, but they have some noise canceling. They have noise canceling. These ones don't have, so.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm just gonna mute you real quick. Yeah, that killed it. We're blaming the hum on Weapon. That's all his fault.
Well, I thought it was me.
Well, I mean,
I better shut my phone off this time.
Well, that could be a thing to do too. Put it on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what we got here. No, this is gonna work better if we just put it up like that, I guess. No. Oh boy, all these options with StreamYard. You've
been gone too long.
I have. There, let's bump that up. All right. So as you can see, I have your post up here, the Freedom Wolf Part 2, and you had a bunch of images and such on here, so I can scroll on down when you want me to.
Just scrolling up to where you can see 3, 4, and 5. Okay, that'll be good.
All right.
Because what I wanted to
does that make the background noise better, guys?
When you're building one of these lone wolves and you use their magwell,
much better
on the bottom, it's really uncomfortable for guys with big hands because your pinky finger is going to lay on that. Well, what I've done with that one is I've radiused it as much as I could, but what really makes this comfortable for a big hand is that undercut where you see number 3. Number 3 is a really large undercut in that trigger guard. And what that allows you to do is to grip that hand up, and it also takes that pinky finger from riding so low on that magwell guard, it's more comfortable. It really does. I got a big hand with fat fingers, and I like a long frame. Like a 17 really feels good. Well, by doing that to this lone wolf, it gives you that feel, not quite as good as a 17, but it'll let you grip up and choke up on that trigger guard. And if you look, another thing on number 6, I hollowed that out all the way into the trigger guard. And what that does is that lets your index finger ride down in there. When you get ready to pull the trigger, ride down in that, and you're already choked up. So it's a more natural feel for holding the gun and shooting. If you watch that video I was talking about earlier, he'll explain how your trigger finger goes in there and what part of your finger should be moving and what part shouldn't. Well, this allows you to get a good choke in on that trigger. So the upper part, this part right up in here on your finger should not move. Only this right here should move. Well, by making that groove in there, it allows me to get my finger up in there to where I'm actually just pulling and not moving that bone back here. If you're pulling a trigger and you notice your finger moving, moving, that's that bone moving, and it'll pull your gun to one side. So if you're shooting from left to right and you're shooting one side more than the other, that's the reason that's happening. Well, anyway, this should all solve that. And on number 4 that goes up in there, I hollowed that out, and that's for the way I shoot is I'll have my hand and I'll put my other hand over it. Well, that allows that index finger from your other hand to come up in there and hold that tight. It's just a matter of feel. When you do your custom on your gun, you should be the one to make these decisions on how that feels. I'll just hold that gun. I'll say, well, I don't like this, so I'll remove this part, or I need to make that part between the trigger guard and the magwell a little larger, for more comfortable for the hand. These are all things you should look at when you work on your gun. But there's one thing you got to remember. You don't want to destroy that trigger guard. Where that trigger guard hooks up to your barrel and comes down to the grip end,
At 5.
that actually gives you a lot of support for all the goings on the slide and the locking block and stuff. It helps support that. If you didn't have that trigger guard holding that part right in there, I'd say it wouldn't be long until you actually crack your frame from shooting. So you don't want to make it too small, but you can really take a lot off of that. And it'll, cause if you notice any of my other builds, I always make them thinner. If you ever measured them, they measure about a 1/2 inch wide. And I usually take them down to, 3/8, something like that.
So you take a fair bit off of it, but you still leave the majority of it in place for
Right.
structural support. Okay.
Yeah, because you gotta, you want to be safe. And
Well, I mean, safety does come first.
About on doing custom frames and stuff is what you shouldn't touch, because there's a lot of stress points on that frame that you don't need to be messing with, because it absorbs a lot of the shock. It's designed to take the shock. It holds things in place. So anywhere you got your pins, you don't want to mess with those areas. Your locking block, you don't want to mess with that area. And the
Right.
back by your trigger housing in that. I've seen people go in there and they'll take that beaver tail and they'll undercut it. Well, think about something. There's a lot of pressure right there from the slide coming back, and if you make that area too short, that's another spot that'll crack on you if you take too much out. I always prefer not to take that out at all. Because if you look at it, there's not a whole lot you can take out where the pins go in for holding your trigger housing.
All right.
If you take too much block out of that, it'll just crack.
Well, I haven't really seen a whole lot of the insides of that area cut out too much. But kind of along those lines, Blade Boy just posted a question here, and you might have some insight into this yourself. Saw a video earlier today. Vogel swearing a grip plug makes using a magwell much better, and wants to know, is there any truth to that? And if so, any grip rate recommendations? What would fit a P80 frame?
My question on that is when he says grip plug, you mean like a standard grip plug? And the only reason I ask that is your standard grip plug on like a P80 is going to attach via the screw on the back of the grip, which is the same spot that your magwell is going to attach to as well.
Yeah,
you can't use one with the other.
Unless you're going to modify.
Most of the I was going to say the same thing. Most of the magwells that come for the P80s have the grip plug with it. So it's just going to fill it right up.
Yeah,
so if you're talking about a grip plug weight, I know that some of those you might be able to get up further in the plug area where it wouldn't interfere with a magwell at all. But
then you might have to hollow out the inside of that.
It's already hollow.
It's already hollow. It extends probably a half, like maybe a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch further than where the magwell plug portion extends to. So if you were to get some sort of a grip plug weight, it would have to be about 1/4 of an inch in height.
This is when I hate YouTube. I wish I could show the hole itself, but
yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same
The
thing.
whole reason for putting weights in that area is pretty much the same reason I really like using aluminum mag welds. It adds that weight. It makes it feel
a decent amount too.
Yeah, because they are light. But if you're going to put a plug in it and you still want to use a mag weld in there, just mold it all together.
Fair enough.
Believe me,
fair enough.
There's a completely different feel when you mold in a mag weld or you just use that little screw on the back. It actually feels different.
After Hawkeye, after seeing your mods and stuff and seeing how nice it looks with the molded in screw on the back, if I ever end up doing my Deadpool build over again and decide to restipple it, because I left a lot of material because I didn't do a recessed stipple pattern on that one.
Just save
I will end up doing
your tab the same color, and then when you get your set screw put in there, just melt all that back over it.
Oh, brother, I have like 2 tiny little Ziploc baggies full of polymer dust that I saved from frames and a few tabs and
color by color, right?
Yep, color by color. You never know when you might need them. I have some grains.
I save the tab because I clip them off with the clipper things. So I got a long piece of tab, and I'll just take my soldering gun, my stipple gun, and I'll just melt that in that spot, and then I'll sand it down and get it all looking good. And then when I stipple it, it's really hard to tell. It really works.
Blade Boy added in, he means specifically the CNH Precision Grip Weight Plug or the Seattle Slug, which again is I think basically what you're talking about, where you can shove it up in that particular hole there.
Yeah.
Shove it in the hole. There you go. So anyway, it's
That's what she said.
Oh, you're gonna make me want to load up this slide I got here anyway. Wow.
If you notice on the picture there, number 5, that I really don't care for that squared off front trigger because I don't hold my pistols that way. So I take those out a lot. I know some of the flashlights look cool because they bump up against those and they actually lock in. That's why you need to plan this stuff way ahead of time. You got all your parts, you know how they're going to fit together. So you kind of got an idea how you can do things by just picking them up and fitting them in as you go along and make sure everything's going to work out for you. It's really good advice. You don't want to do this kind of stuff and not have all your parts, and then you can't find the parts you want to match what you've done. It's just different. They talk a lot about the way some guys will open up the inside of that trigger because they wear gloves and they need that extra room for the glove. I've on this Black Widow build I just did, I found that if you take the travel out of your trigger, not all of it, you got to be safe. But if you take a lot of that travel out, there's plenty of room in there for a finger with a glove on there, and you don't have to take all that out. So that's what I did on that build.
And the beautiful thing about doing your own is you can make it personal for you. If you wear a thick glove, great. If you want to decrease the trigger, that works too.
That's exactly right. That's why you do this stuff. It's for you, and it's yours. And
because built is better than bought. Yeah, Ram?
I wear a thick glove because I'm afraid of the vid.
Yeah, but just think about how much doing this much work on this frame would cost you if you sent it out to a guy.
I mean, way too much.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't want to knock these guys. They do awesome work and they got to make a living, but
$360 for some.
Put your money in good stuff like slides and parts and stuff, and do this kind of stuff yourself.
Do like most of us have done here and learn how to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Learn from Gledhill.
Yeah.
Learn from Shogun Customs.
And-
Learn from Frank
Hey,
Castle.
those
Castle
those guys will definitely give you the information freely.
Yeah, and if you need
called
help,
Brad
they
the other
will
day
reach out,
because
dude.
I got a little debacle here with a new slide I got, and I had to call Brad for some advice on the Cerakote. They put too much Cerakote on it, and I got to take some of it off without taking it all off. But Brad answered the phone. What do you need, Ram?
Nice.
I mean, these guys are all like that. They're going to pick up the phone. If we have their numbers, we have it for a reason. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have their numbers, definitely, send them text message, email, whatever. They'll all answer because they all, are about the community,
That's just it. It's the community aspect, and they're not too high and mighty. I'm too good for that. They will answer you.
And no, it's not because I'm RAMjetta. It's just because, I mean, they already know what we're doing. So
yeah. But definitely send a message. There's ways to reach them, whether it's on the forum or it's on Facebook or their own website, whatever the case may be. People are almost always willing to answer. Yeah, you can do it this, that, or the other.
If you want me to show you how I did those, I got the little tools here I could show you. It's really simple. I find it simple. Is you start out with your sanding discs. They come in quarter, half, and eighth inch. Well, actually, it's quarter inch, 3/8, and half inch. But you can take these, and you can get. I like using a 400 and a 600 grit, and I'll do all the rough out on that trigger guard with these. The trick, though, now here's a good tip. You don't want to turn these too fast, and you don't want to turn them too slow. There's a spot right in there where you can work them, and you won't melt your plastic, but you still cut with.
Right.
And you can rough them out with that, and it takes minutes. That's how fast it cuts. And after that, you heard me talk about these a lot. These are the ceramic. They're rubber ceramic inserted wheels. They're not rubber wheels. They're rubber with ceramic dust in them, and you can get them in all different grits. Now, once you rough out something like that, you can go over it with one of these. This one happens to be an 80 grit, and I'll go up to like a 320 grit, and it'll slick all that out and get your lines out with without having to spend hours of sanding. They really do work. And they come in different sizes too. And they even got some that are wheels. But if you ever get one of these wheel kind, be careful with these because they cut. They'll cut a groove in a heartbeat, and you won't really realize it.
which ones was those?
These are the ones that's got the little disc that screws on the end.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Those you need to be. I wouldn't use those on anything but steel, to be honest with you. But these others, these things are cool. You can shape them, and so if you're trying to blend out a dip in something that you need to shape it all out, well, you can shape these to the shape you're trying to hold and just start working it back and forth, and you'll work out little dips and scratches that are happen to be in it. And then after you get through with all that, you use these what do they call these 3M wheels, buffer wheels?
I was just say those are buffer polish wheels. Yeah.
You can hit it with those. And once I use these, that's pretty much as far as I go because I paint. And I'll also use these to get that texture off. Once I do a light sanding with the micro sander on the frame, I'll put these on there and that'll slick it up. And because I don't know, the builds I've been doing here lately, I don't want that texture on there. So I've been polishing them up. And after that, this is a it's just a soft or medium soft brush, nylon brush, and you can take your compounds like your polish, whatever polish you're using, whatever compound grit you're using.
Yeah.
You can you can put that on there with this. And this is another thing. You don't want to turn too fast because it'll build up heat. Keep it moving and run it kind of medium speed, and it'll shine your gun up like you polished it. And then just wipe it down with a soft cloth.
You're saying not too fast, not too slow, and kind of to work towards that. Blade Boy made a comment here. He's been really vocal in the section. He's I love to learn, but not all of us live in places where we're allowed to get our hands on the canvas for artwork. And you can work with different polymers to practice the technique, how fast, how slow. Your gun cases work really good. That's a thing.
I use like a Pelican knockoff case. The polymer is almost identical on that thing to the polymer on a P80 frame. Almost identical in terms of its melting point.
Yeah, and
now,
I
mean, you can also, it's not the same. It's not exactly the same, but the A2 grips that you can find for $1, a lot of times Combat Armory will have them for $1. I think I bought 20 of them the last time they had them for $1, just to be able to practice on, because it's more than just the heat. It's getting the muscle memory down, how to press,
your
and
hand,
how you want to hold your hand and everything. You can get those all day long, and you'll have them to practice with. So
same with the burner
because I couldn't get my hands on a broken P80 or a broken Glock frame to save my life, so I had to do something. So those work out pretty well. Like I said, they're not exactly the same, but close enough.
I used a small sandbag to rest my wrist on when I do my stippling, which keeps my hand at the same height every time, so I'm not moving over or slouching. It's always right in that same spot.
Consistency is key.
Yeah, about 3-inch high or something like that, to 2.5-inch high.
Now here's something for when you're a beginner. Like when I first started working on these pistols, of course I had a lot of experience doing handwork, but I was a little iffy on what I could do, what I couldn't. So I would do these rough outs like this, and instead of polishing the gun up and I would do my work, and then I would sandblast it. Well, when you sandblast, it hides a lot. You can have scratches from when you were sanding or little curves that didn't really work out right. Well, you can sandblast this stuff before you paint, and it'll give everything the same texture, and it'll also hide a lot. So when you're first starting, if you want to fool around and say, well, I shouldn't have done that, just sandblast it, and you'll never see a lot of these mistakes. And what we're trying to say is it's not a step-by-step process. It's a feel you have to learn. I always call it the art of the scratch, because what you're actually doing is you're working scratches out. Once you go in there and you shape your trigger guard the way you want it, and when you do it with those sand barrels, you're going to notice it's pretty rough. So from then on, it's the art of getting rid of that scratch.
So speaking of hiding stuff in the art of the scratch, I want to say, sorry to interrupt Hawkeye, but Ram and us, we've been playing a little joke on y'all. He's
Ram.
He's been the ghost in the machine. He hasn't actually been traveling. He got back a little bit early. So Ram, why don't you come on board?
Hello, everybody. I've been here the whole time.
Yeah. All right. But Hawkeye, you're still the man of the hour. All right.
Go ahead, Hawkeye, man. I just, I wanted to pop in real quick and holler at you guys. But Hawkeye, man, you're killing it, man. Keep going, man. I'm here. I'm sitting here taking notes. I seriously am.
It is. It's an art of removing scratches, where you remove scratches by using something finer than the scratch. And so what you got to learn is you feel a scratch and you go, okay, that's a pretty deep scratch. I need to start with this grit or that grit sandpaper to start working out. But here's a very good tip. Never start with a coarse paper. Start with a fine paper, because you can always go a little coarser. But if you start coarse before you actually find which one you need, then
Might
you've got
create
to
more
go back
scratches.
and take that out. So
Yeah.
always start with something real fine and go, well, that's a little bit too soft. Maybe go a little coarser. And,
Start small, go
and
easy.
it's just a
Make love
matter
to it.
Yeah, and it's a matter of individuals. I've taught women how to polish, and I've taught guys how to polish. Now, the hand strength in women aren't as strong as with the guys. So there's a different process that they'll go through once they learn that the art of the scratch. They'll have their own process where the guys are more strong and they can just go in there and start hogging material out, and they'll have a different process. So when I taught people, I never would teach them, do this step, do that step. I would always, here's a scratch, figure out how to get it out. And just if you do it, if you approach things like that, instead of looking for a step, there's so much you're going to learn. Because, I don't know, I've never done anything except read instructions where it says this screw goes into here, step 1, this screw goes into there, step 2. That's the only time this stuff works for me.
Yep.
Blade Boy shared that he is learning on the Glock cases, and excellent. That's great.
That's a great starting point.
Any polymer is a great place to start with. However, I will say 3D printed stuff is not the same. It's not even close. So don't waste your time with that. Go buy an actual formed polymer if you're going to practice on it.
Yeah, don't try to stipple the 3D printing.
Yep. Have you ever cut through cheese with a hot or cheddar cheese with a hot knife?
Yeah,
that's what it's like trying to stipple a 3D printed frame.
They'll delam on you like nothing. It's crazy.
Hey, before we get too far, we had a question by Ancient Order, the Hawkeye. Yeah. What if you don't want to paint?
That's what I was saying before. Just polish it up. If you look at a frame, you actually look at it's got a texture on it, and that texture is there. It makes it easier to come out of the mold. I think that's why they got a texture, and that's the look of the gun. If you want to leave that texture on there, but you want to do the work on your trigger guard, just be careful not to ding up any of the frame area other than your trigger guard, and just work it like you want it, and polish it up. Shape it with the barrel sanders. Reshape it with the rubber ceramic. Now, if you don't want to use a rubber ceramic or you don't have them, you can use sandpaper and do it by hand. But you got to be careful and not be getting the sandpaper on the rest of your frame where your texture's at. And then once you get that down, go ahead and use your polish on it and polish it up. And you can bring it up to a shine, and it'll look just like your gun. When you send one off and have them do this work and they don't paint it, that's what they do. They don't have to paint all that. They just polish it back up.
I've also heard that you can semi-replicate the factory texture if you use one of those polymer brushes on the Dremel. One of the little polymer bristled brushes.
Yeah. Or you can just take the whole frame and go sandblast it.
Yep, that too.
But if you do that, you're going to have to paint it or something. I've never tried to polish after I sandblasted, but I don't see why you couldn't. But you'd have to be careful not to ruin the texture that you're putting on it.
Depends on which kind of media you're using. I'm sure if you just wanted to sandblast the whole thing, if you were using a softer media, like the polymer beads or something like that, you might actually be able to create a new texture. Very similar to the factory one.
That's what I did.
If you were like a 30 PSI or something like that, or under 30.
I went out to work.
Ancient Order questions polymer brush. You have any source for that sort of a thing? So that if you
I could dig it out of my box, but it's 10 feet away and buried under 5.
Excuses.
5 tool cases.
We'll try and find some to put on the forum.
If you buy one of the polishing kits from Dremel, they will almost always come with these brass brushed tips, and then they will come with the plastic or polymer brush tips, which are black.
Okay. It sounds like you're talking about a coarse nylon brush.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Now
Sure.
I've used the brass ones. I wouldn't use the brass on plastic. I'd keep
Unless you want to
steel.
destroy it.
And if you're going to use it on stainless steel, be prepared for it to leave a slight patina on your steel,
Yeah.
a slight gold patina from the brass.
Might be a nice effect
Well,
if you
that'll
do that
come
on
off with
purpose.
kerosene.
Yep.
Well, guys,
My first builds, I would take when I would sandblast them. I took them out to work, and at work we make injection molds, so we're dealing with steel. So our sandblaster had like a 120 grit. It was a coarse grit, and that would give me a real coarse finish on these first pistols I built, and it hid a lot of the mistakes I made or the learning curves, I guess. And but those guns I didn't paint with airbrushes. I had can paint. I painted those with. It just works. Yeah.
Ram's over here doing some Karate Kid stuff going on.
I'm painting.
I know. Up and down, up
You know,
and down.
they make
Up and down, not across.
They make a hand grip that goes on the top of those cans,
go with the
and it's
grain.
just like using an airbrush, just back and forth, back and forth. And,
Oh yes, he knows.
And you should do this with no matter what paint you use. I'm a big believer in a clear coat. With the can paints, they'll scratch easy, but if you put a clear coat on it, it'll last a lot longer because the clear will scratch and not your paint. I swear by clear coat. I tell you, I use clear coat on all my guns. It just gives them a pop, and it gives them a slick feel that it feels like you're running your hands across a steel blued slide. I mean, it really does feel good.
Yeah. Ancient order for sandblasting, you have to mask off anything that you don't want to sandblast. Painter's tape
especially your
several
internals.
layers. Yeah, painter's tape several layers, or painter's tape and several layers of masking tape, or whatever you have.
On a P80, on a P80 frame, it's not that big a deal because all your parts are out of it. But if you're going to sandblast the slide, you need to cover up where your striker goes, where your safety plunger spring and stuff goes, because when those fill up with sand, believe me, I've been there. It's a pain to get all that out.
So
Just
getting sand in
off
small
everything
crevices
you
is
have.
not a good idea. Got it.
Tape off your channel area, tape off your mag well slots.
And I even tape off the whole internals of the slide where the rails are and stuff on the slide, because you want that slick to start with. So you don't want to go in there and rough it up with a sandblast and then have to go back there and polish it to give you that real good feel when you're racking your gun.
If you need a thicker tape that comes off easy, like painter's tape, look into gaff tape.
Yep, gaff tape is awesome.
It works beautifully. They use it for, like covering lines and stuff in the theater, and it goes on easy. It comes off easy. It doesn't really leave a residue, but it's thicker, so it'll take a bit more of a beating.
How does it cut?
You know,
it cuts great. It cuts amazing. You can use an X-Acto to do fine detail with it, or you can just tear it off, bit by bit if you want a big swatch of it.
Here's what I do. I save all my stencil scraps because if you have a good vinyl,
dude, that shit ain't coming off. It's thick as fuck.
I'll put it where I want it. I can get it to go around corners and curves, hit it with a hot air gun, and it's on there for the rest of the build.
Yeah, especially if you use a heat resistant vinyl, like the heavy duty stuff you would use for like an Analgene bottle or a water bottle or something. That shit ain't coming off.
Here's what you do is when you get ready to paint and stuff, and you've already got your grip ready for stippling that, you don't want to get paint all over it. So I mask that off with my leftover vinyl sticker stuff, and I'll hit it with an air gun. Now, most of my builds, I'll have at least 2 to 3 times of going to a cure oven, and I don't want any paint on the grips that all over them. So I'll put that on there. I hit it with a hot air gun. I can cure it as many times if I need to as I paint the rest of the bill. And then when I get through, that stuff will just peel right off. And then all I got to do is go around the edges and clear out the overspray. And it saves a lot of time and it doesn't come off. Now I've used tape. 3M makes a yellow tape, and I've used it before. It's a good heat resistant paint, but it won't stick as long as vinyl stencils will. But it does stick good. I haven't tried that other stuff. Nos, what'd you say it was?
Gaff tape, GAFF.
It's
Again,
used a lot in the film industry.
Film, theater, any kind of electrical rigging.
Gaff tape's used a lot for wardrobe.
It'll take heat.
It takes heat pretty well. I mean, it's put under heat lamps on stage all the time. It's really durable. It sticks almost as well as duct tape, but it comes off like painter's tape.
Yeah.
It's it's a little more expensive, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah. That's what once I tape up what I'm going to tape with the vinyl, I'll just use that blue painter's tape, and I'll spray what I'm going to spray, and I'll take that off, and then I'll cure it. And then the next time I paint whatever I'm painting, I'll put some more of that on there because that's not a tape that stays.
Well, the gaff tape will come off very, very well too. It doesn't really leave a residue or anything. That's why I'm suggesting it.
Yeah. I have to look for some of that.
It's nice because it only comes off when you want it to come off.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It doesn't require much physical strength or anything to pull it off either. So,
so
nice Hawkeye. This is because we've gotten way off.
Used for keeping the dresses on the boobies. A lot.
Okay, this is exactly why I'm saying we need to get back to the point because I knew he was going there. Hawkeye, we got any pictures of the mods you've done to the Magwell? Because you've done some pretty hefty Magwell mods.
To the Freedom Wolf?
Yeah.
It's down on the same page, just down a little lower.
I'm working on getting down there. Hold tight.
Dude, I love that paw print.
Okay.
Paw print mod.
Yeah, isn't that cool? I was
cool, dude.
Believe me, I was really nervous doing that because I've never done something like that. Because I was afraid I was going to mess up the trigger guard and make it weak. And
let me backtrack to show the people right there. That's really sick. It is.
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And you notice just below that, there's those knuckle cuts.
Yeah.
That takes care of the Glock knuckle right there. Take that, and you. Anyway, that paw turned out pretty good. It's supposed to have some claws on the end of it, but they were so small I couldn't put them in there.
Well, you got to work with your canvas, and there's only so much room, so that makes sense.
Now that's the back of that Lone Wolf Magwell. And if you ever saw one, they got those pins that go in the side, and they got those holes showing, and they got that seam going down there where the part fits in it. It just looks like crap. So I filled all that in and reshaped it to kind of go with the front a little bit. And I think it's going to turn out pretty good.
Yeah, looks smooth.
Yeah, it made it just a little bit bigger. And I was able to put a little bigger radius on it.
See, now it looks good. I just never been partial to the rounded Magwell. I want something that's gonna like cup my finger, like it goes the opposite way. The radius goes in instead of
you
out.
want it skinny and carved out.
But this is the back. This is the back of it. It's not the front where your little pinky.
Right. So that's in the back by where the palm of my hand would be.
And that makes sense.
Real quick on that paw print, Ancient Order says, Hawkeye, you should fill that paw print with silver. That might be kind of a neat thing. Inlay it with silver or something like that.
You'd have to use what the fuck that shit called.
Go ahead and scroll up.
They're really liquid metal. You can melt it down with just fucking
Yeah,
Keep
lighter.
going.
I forget what it's
that
called.
would melt the damn frame.
Keep
Well,
going. Go up
Keep
one
going.
more.
yeah.
No, one more. There. There you can see it. It's an actual hole in there.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hollow. It's see-through.
If you were to put a backing on that, and maybe not metal, but maybe do an enamel as a fill.
You can do a resin or something.
Yeah.
like that.
I love the see-through. Imagine looking through that and seeing the bottom of a dope-ass trigger. Feeling it.
Would be cool.
I love it. I mean, you
It also is going
carved
to
it out
provide an actual
perfectly.
grip as well. You know,
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
your flesh is going to fall into that a little bit.
Definitely. Any way you want to do it, that's the beauty of making it custom and DIY. Is you can say, "Oh, I'm going to take that idea and I'm going to work it this way and do it my own way now."
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I'm going to do something like this on all of them from here on out. I mean, it's just, it was easier than I thought, and it just adds something to the build.
Yeah.
My wife asked me, well, why'd you do that? And I said, well, when you grip the pistol and you bring that second hand up and your finger touches that paw print, you become with one with the wolf, and you can shoot better.
Yeah.
How
She gave me one of those looks like you wouldn't believe, and
It's a good thought,
I
or
got a big laugh out of it.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I bet she probably did give you a funny look. And yes, Ancient Order is just a thought. It's a good thought, and certainly something you could explore on your own and share pictures with us.
Yeah.
See?
Now, I wanted to try and put another one on the front of the trigger guard where I took the square off.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is the way I did this was I took my Dremel press and I came down. Well, there wasn't room to come down. I'd have to put it on a little bit of an angle. And those bits are so small that if you have them on an angle hitting a surface like that, they want to bend out.
Bounce off.
So if I ever do one of those, it's going to be all strictly by hand, or it's going to have to be big enough to where I can use a drill bit that's got some oomph to it to where it won't, or maybe even do several different pinholes or something and work my way out to a bigger bit.
You
but
might
it took
need
a little
to do
more
the
effort
pinhole.
than I wanted. So
Yeah.
Have you done
but-
any other mods to the frame, Hawkeye?
no, not really. I left the rail on, and I kind of like the barrel on the Lone Wolf. I tell you, the more I work on this one, I like it. There's a lot of plastic. You can do a lot of stuff with this one and not hurt the integrity of the gun. Where a P80, you gotta be careful on areas. Like
hold on, I just got
this
to
is
interject for a second. Hold up, Hawkeye. Did you say you're leaving the rail on this one?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's not like you. You usually take off the rails on your P80s.
Yeah. Well,
frames.
the smaller ones, I do, because to me a G43, that's a pocket gun. It don't need a rail.
Right.
My first builds that I did on a 19s, I took the rails off. It boils down to what you want your gun to be. If you want it to be a tactical sidearm or something, you want your rail. You want, a beefier gun. If you're going to have something that's just shiny and looks good, and you carry it out to the range in a bag and you take it out, and everyone's, what the hell you need a rail for?
I
so
like
if you look
the
at
rail.
the one like American Beauty, I took the rail off of that one. It's a Glock 17 without a rail, but it's a shiny gun. It's got a lot of pop to it. It's not made to be a sidearm. It's made to carry in a bag.
Display piece more than an active piece.
Yeah, that's why you custom this stuff. What do you want this one to be? This is all part of your planning. You go, okay, I got a 17 here. What do I want to do? And you start planning it out. Get all
With
your
a
parts.
17 long slide on it.
Yeah, well.
Oh, I got some.
one coming.
Ooh, I got some information today that I'll share before the end of the show. So if anybody wants to see it, you got to hang around another 10 minutes. And I got some real good information coming, dog.
All right.
I mean, well, I'll say it like this. It's not so much news for our particular area, but it's going to be interesting. I'm trying to wonder how it's going to come out. I tried to get some more inside information today, but I couldn't dig it out of them. But another 10 minutes, I'll give the information. Oh, update. November 15th, we will be moving to the other channel.
Yeah.
We will be 100% on the new channel. So if you are not subscribed to the other channel, please do so. I just dropped the link in the comments. Go over there, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I will. Give me a minute. Go over there, subscribe. Guys, we have to make some changes. They're going to be for the better. We got some different things coming up. We got some prizes on grand opening night. You definitely want to be on the broadcast.
Right.
I will be putting out promotions between next week and then with the new links, with everything that you need to get on to the stream that night. Next week, we'll still be here. Next week, we'll still be on Gentleman Designs and the other channel. But as of November 15th, we'll be solely on the new channel.
Yeah.
So,
And that'll help with getting the word out there so that more people can join in the community and learn and grow and share with us, right?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, MGB will be back on the 27th. So he'll be back the week after.
Cool.
During Thanksgiving, he'll be back. But yeah, so we'll
don't be
live.
a turkey. Join us that day.
Yeah, join us. You won't regret it. We got some good stuff coming. Everybody likes free stuff, but you got to be there to get it. And I'm not trying to talk you into coming for the free stuff. We want you to come because we're stopped after next week. Gentleman Designs channel won't be hosting the live anymore. We'll be on our own channel. Okay, so stay tuned to Weapons IG, my IG. If you friends with me on Facebook, pay attention to that because I might put one or two promotions on YouTube. But if you want to be in the know, find us on Instagram.
I'll post some stuff up on Reddit as well.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Jettaman_designs. If you want to, follow me over there. I put out a lot of information that I don't put out on YouTube or on Facebook. Put some of it on TikTok, but not much. TikTok.
TikTok is the worst, man. I'm sorry. I don't like the platform myself.
It's definitely a time suck if you get sucked in.
I agree with suck, not so much time.
I've seen some of that on there.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
Oh Lord, you guys!
I'm on one tonight, guys. I'm on one tonight.
Yeah, we're all about ready to hit the hay. I think
You guys caught me. You guys caught me right after my workout.
Ancient Order must want to leave
tonight.
No. He doesn't want to leave. He just wants to get the word out before we all start heading out for the night.
Yeah. As you know, guys, I went to get my Glock Armorer's certification done, which thank goodness I aced it. But honestly, a 9-year-old could have aced it. just to be real. I mean, he said when we started the class that everybody's going to pass this test. Thanks. Thanks, Nas.
Never had any doubt, brother. I told you that earlier.
Man.
Never had any doubt.
You know, that course was money, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Shit. Oh, that course was, I left out of there with some swag, and I was like, man, I got some free stuff. Then I thought, nah, I paid for all this shit.
Yeah, it's only free if you didn't pay anything for it.
Got some good stuff. I got to learn. They focused. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it. They focused pretty much on the Gen 5 system. They did comparisons from Gen 5 to Gen 4 to Gen 3. A little known fact. I don't know who knows. Okay, I'm gonna ask this, guys. If you know this answer, put it in the chat. You guys that are on the screen, if you know the answer, just say it. What was? I should save this for trivia, shouldn't I? Shouldn't I save this for a prize?
Save it for a prize draw.
I think I'm gonna save this question for a prize.
Make the people think and wonder. Come back to us on the next.
Matter of fact, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask the question, and if you can research the answer before the 15th, we'll do a drawing of everyone that has the answer. Fair enough.
So are we going to do a live draw for that?
We're going to do a live draw for the answer to this question. Okay. Now, so we have 11 people watching. So only these 11 people are going to know the question because I'm not going to mention it again unless somebody watches the replay. Don't give the answer now.
Oh.
Don't give the answer now because it's going to be for a prize in 2 weeks. We're going to draw the prize for this answer. And you can research it and find it on Google. You might even be able to find it on YouTube. All right.
Mr.
In
Vino's
1981
for you, real quick.
Right,
so Mr. Vino's got a question for you, real quick.
So for sure, dude. Official? For sure, dude. I learned a lot. I knew nothing about Gen 5. I knew nothing about Gen 5 going into the class. They focused 90% on Gen 5. So I have a lot of answers now for Gen 5. Some me and Hawkeye were talking about earlier that I need to check out because I do have a lone wolf frame. But I mean, his lone wolf works and it cycles. So it's not a question of whether he did it right. It's a question of why the hell should this work? It shouldn't work. It shouldn't work. I mean,
all right, continue your trivia question after you answer his.
Trivia question. All right, we'll go more into as the weeks go on. I'll share a lot. I'll get some what I can share. I'll put up and we'll go for it. But anyway, the question is in 1981. I'll give you this part of the answer. In 1981, Glock came out with the Gen 1. All right, 1981. Yeah, 1981. What was the name of the Gen 1? That is the question. Don't answer it now.
Oh, but it's a fun answer.
Yeah, it sure is. If you know the answer, hold on to the answer because the people that have the answer will be entered into the live draw and you'll get to win something good. I promise you it'll be something good that you can win. It won't be no cheapie and nothing like that.
You don't even have to look that far if you know what you're looking for.
That's right. hey, cut that out.
You know, I mean, Google's a wonderful thing. You just have to do your typey thing, you know?
Yeah. So that's the question. What was the name of the Gen 1 that came out in 1981 when Glock was founded? Oh, I got a bonus question.
Uh-oh.
Bonus. How old is the founder of Glock today?
Ooh.
How old is he? And I'm gonna say he. How old is he?
All right.
That's another question. Well, that'll be another prize. So
you're definitely gonna have to Google.
So Google it. You might be able to find it just by just Googling how old is Mr. Glock.
Fair enough.
You might be able to find it that way. So
yeah.
Other than that, that is all I'll give away for tonight. But I'll figure out some more questions to work on for the grand opening. Hawkeye is working feverishly at the medallion, so we got those to give away. And there will be a new logo. Yep. So that logo that you currently see in the top corner, that's gonna change. And I'll be working on that.
It's been a placeholder and wonderful as it is, but I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to show to us because you're always a great graphic designer. And that's what your Jetta Man design is all about, which is why we're splitting it off, right?
Yes, sir. All
right.
Yes, sir.
See, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's some very good information today, Mr. Vino. They got a new book with new graphics, new everything in it. Compatibility parts. Learned out some interesting information about the New York trigger. Stupid information, but it is what it is. There were people falling asleep in class, and I was sitting there like this. Because
all the coffee you drank.
Hey Ram, you got to tell them. You got to tell them what you told me about after class, because it's just funny in a great way in the segment.
Man.
It's fun.
After class, right? I was excited, like, yeah, I'm great. Pass, walking. I'm texting people while I'm walking, boom, boom, boom. And I look up and I'm at the corner, and there's a group of people at the corner. I'm like, why are we waiting? I'm from New York. We don't wait for lights to change. We cross the street. No cars coming. We're gone, right? So I'm looking around going, why is everybody waiting for the light? So I start to go and jaywalk, because it's called jaywalking. You can get a ticket for that. And something just said, look around. I'm standing around all the guys that came from the class I was in. They're all wearing blue and badges. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't jaywalk. I'm surrounded by cops.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you're on the side of caution there.
I erred on the side of caution, and I stayed right where I was until the light changed.
One crime at a time.
I was trying to get in the wind to get back here, and I was like, it just was weird to see a group of people standing on the corner just looking at the light like this, waiting for it to change. I'm like,
yeah,
from New York, we just walk.
If it's clear, you go, except for when you're surrounded by blue.
Yeah, right, really.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was kind of a good chuckle. But I got home, a little bit of a downside. I got home. I was burning, guys. I was pushing to get here. I was pushing. I get home. I open the door. I smell rubber. I looked at my neighbor who was just pulling up the same time I was. I said, "Hey, you smell rubber?" He said, "Yeah, I smell rubber." I said, "Damn it." I go and I pop the hood. He goes, "What makes you think it's you?" I said, "I know it's me. I'm looking and I could see, how like at night when your lights are on, you can see a little bit of smoke." What the hell? Well, I pulled in the driveway. I'm glad I didn't stop on the way home, because soon as I shut the engine off, the serpentine belt popped, just disintegrated. I opened the hood and it was laying all over the hood.
He shared pictures with me. He ain't lying. It's gone.
It's gone. It had the serpentine belt's about that wide normally. When I opened the hood, I had lost half of it. It was about that thin. So when I stopped it, apparently it chafed enough. So as soon as the engine stopped, the whole thing just blew apart.
The only thing keeping it together was momentum.
That was the only thing. As soon as the momentum was gone, it just just disintegrated.
Yeah,
and now was the rubber smell.
Nope.
So tomorrow I got to do surgery.
That's okay. Serpentine belt.
Good thing is I'm within walking distance of AutoZone. I'll walk up there when they open. Matter of fact, I'm gonna order it tonight, and then I'll walk up there about a half hour after they open, because it's gonna take them a half hour to pull it off the shelf. But yeah, so that's been the day. But it was a good day.
Good and bad, bad and good.
Good day.
But
good day.
Hey, I definitely want to say, Hawkeye, thank you again for all your information and guiding us through and posting on the forums with all your mods and just the experience that you're lending to us as an education in and of itself. Well, so thank you for that.
The way I look at it, everybody's building these P80s, and it's not going to be long before they're going to want to take them to the next level. And if I can help push that along, it's great, because I love looking at these custom builds now. Not just mine, but everybody's got some nice ideas. And that's what gives you ideas for what you want to do in the future.
I've taken several notes, brother.
I'm
glad it helps out.
And that's where having a gallery comes in really nice, because you can share that information. And, no matter what we do, I think having the gallery is a good thing. It was always favorite of mine from previous. It's, oh, that looks neat. I want to try something like that and move from there. But how? How do I do that?
Hey, and if anybody's got any ideas that they want to try on a build that I haven't done, hey, shoot it by me, man. We can figure it out. I'm always looking to do stuff. I know, I think it was Ancient Order or maybe Senior Moment one. They were wanting to do an embed in their pistol, and it's got me thinking. I got one of those coming up that I want to try out, and how to embed something actually in the grip.
The best one to use, unfortunately, and you may get away with it because the polymer 80s are really, really thin. They're thin. I did a G20, which will be dropping real soon now that I got the paint booth done. But the G20, and I carved right into it, and I blew right through it. It's so thin. So you got to be very careful with inlaying. The best ones to do is the Strike 80s, or now that SCT looks like it's almost as thick as the Strike 80. So if you're going to do an inlay, try with one of those.
Well, I think I'm going to try it on the Lone Wolf because they got a lot of stock.
Lone Wolf is pretty good too.
But you know, this is the first one I've actually carved into the grip. Mm-hmm. All my other P80 builds that I've done, I've built them
added to build it up with the JB weld. Yeah.
Speaking of that grip inlay thing you mentioned, stamps are on the letter. Letter's going out tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll get that in the planning stage, and that's what I'll do on the third Lone Wolf I got coming up.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Before we go, before you sign off, Nas, because you're going to sign off tonight. Before we sign off, I want to thank Hawkeye from the bottom of my heart, because see, Hawkeye, he's been here the last 4 weeks for us. Hawkeye, he agreed to stop in, drop in, share his knowledge every once in a while, so on and so forth. And he's been here the last 4 weeks without fail. When we've had gaps and when we've needed, different topics discussed and everything. So I want to thank you. And I don't want to see you live on here for at least the next couple months.
and because my ass last week, brother, which I appreciate more than you could ever know.
And always help out a buddy. That's what it is.
That's what this community is about, man. Helping out, filling in the gaps when it's needed. And dude, I appreciate you, man. I just wanted to let everybody know that and say it live on air, dude. I know it's not been what you've agreed to, but you've stepped in and you stepped up, and we really appreciate it, man.
Well, no problem. Like I said, help out my buddies.
Appreciate that. All right, I'm gonna drop off. Nas, you can go ahead and do your close, Mr. Sir.
All right. Well, here's the fun thing. Let's do it.